Alright, here we have Gav going for a new 3 rep max back squat. So, the two things I want to watch for on this video are his knees initiate the movements and his hips don't get down low enough. So let's watch the first rep and have a chat about it. You can see here he's going to break from his knees, and once his knees hit like a roadblock out in front because he's hit ankle end range of motion, the hips stop descending. If the hips went down any further, he'd get smashed. He'd end up eating a face full of rubber. So knees hit the roadblock, hips stop, he gets up. And on the third one, it's a little bit better because he breaks a little bit from the hips as well. So the thing that's really going on here is two factors. Number one, the bar is probably just a little bit too heavy to get a really good feel for where a squat is at. But also, number two, glute and hamstring strength definitely aren't up to par. So things like a lot of pause squats, making sure you get down right below parallel, and really working on getting that end range of motion going would be hugely beneficial here. Alright, so next up we got my man Chris Breezy hitting some squats. Chris does a couple of things really well in this video, and then there's a couple of things to kind of break down a little bit on him. So, number one, Chris, bro, you need to get some better lights. It's way too dark to tell what's going on here. Number two, for everyone watching this, guys, when you're filming your squats and looking for critiques, if you look straight on from this angle, it's really hard to tell what's going on because you can't really tell what's happening with the hips. You can't tell too well what's happening with the lower back or with the hip and knee angles. So getting a view from the front 3/4. So if you were to stand, say, out where my mouse pointer is now and looking in from this angle here, it'd be a lot better. So let's just look and see what happens with the squats. Number one, bar position is absolutely beautiful. Right across the top of the shoulders, wrists locked in tight, elbows under the bar. Head position starts off pretty good, but the eyes start to travel downwards, which means what's probably going to happen is the chest will drop, the hips will kick, and it'll just become harder than it should be. There's nothing wrong with keeping a neutral neck. You probably should do that. But what really matters is that your eye position and where you focus your view on is up or on the horizon. So Chris should literally be staring at the camera right now. He's going to get to the bottom. Again, it's quite hard to tell whether he's actually hit parallel or not from this angle because it's just a big black hole. But watch out and see what happens with the knees here. As he comes up, the hips lift, the knees collapse in, and then he finishes it out because his back is pretty strong. So looking at that then without slowing it down, knees pop, hips kick, and then back finishes the lift. So again, with this sort of thing, there's a couple of factors at play. The first one is, on max lifts, you're not always going to have beautiful technique. You should always strive to have that, but it's not always going to happen. With Chris, his squat's flying along recently. He's doing a great job. This is probably up around the 140 range, possibly a little bit heavier. But I think he probably needs to concentrate on just spending a little bit more time dealing with weights in the 80 to 85% range, concentrating on really holding down beautiful technique all the time, so that when he does get to max reps or max weights, it just happens automatically and looks pretty, and you don't see any knee collapse, you don't see any hip kick, because he's kind of 70-80% of the way there now. There's just a couple of things he could tweak to make his life a lot easier and his lifts a lot stronger.